Travel credit cards sound amazing, promising you unforgettable experiences with flights and hotels, all booked with points. But the truth is, you've been lied to. And for most people, it's a trap. Behind the hype are hidden costs, untold risks, and inflated promises where you're getting nowhere near 4 to 5 cents per point in value. And that's why cashback may be the smarter strategy, delivering more value with way less hassle. So let's break down exactly why with reason number 1, where cashback is just less complicated than credit card points. Take a card like the Wells Fargo Active Cash, earning you 2% back on everything. No categories, no gimmicks, spend $1,000 and earn 20 back. What you see is what you get. Now compare that to something like the Capital One Venture X, which will earn you 2 times miles on all your spend. Is that the same? What does it actually mean for you? The catch is, Venture miles are only worth 0.5 cents per mile when redeemed for cashback. So that 2 times miles ends up only being 1% back, not 2. You only get the full 2% when you redeem for travel purchases. And that's just the start. You can also redeem these miles for gift cards, Amazon, PayPal, or cover entertainment purchases, but all these values change each time. Want to transfer to one of their several travel partners? Now you're navigating a whole other maze with different programs, airlines, value based on cabin and availability. And Capital One is just one example. Every major issuer has their own point system. Chase Ultimate Rewards, American Express membership reward points, Citi thank you points, Bilt rewards, the list goes on, each with their own quirks, rules, and cents per point values. Now, to be clear, yes, you can get more value than cashback. But for most people, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Cashback, on the other hand, is clear, predictable cash. For a lot of people, that simplicity is enough. But here's the thing, cashback has seriously evolved over the last few years. It's no longer just getting 1 or 2% back, which to be fair is much better than using cash or debit directly. But let's be honest, it's still kind of boring. Nowadays, there are plenty of new and powerful cards that will earn you 3, 4, even 6% back in categories that most people are already spending in. For me, that's usually dining and travel. For others, it might be groceries, gas, or select streaming services. Either way, you can go for a card like the Capital One Saver, earning you 3% back in dining, groceries, entertainment, and popular streaming services. 4 major categories, 1 cashback card, no annual fees. Or look at the US Bank Altitude Connect card, earning you 4 times points, or basically 4% back when purchasing travel, and up to $1,000 combined in EV and gas purchases every quarter. And yes, it does earn points, but with a US Bank account, you can just treat it like cash and move on. And again, no annual fees, meaning you can keep these cards forever and continuously earning 3 to 4% back in some of your key categories, 2% back on everything else, and all while building some solid credit. And that's just scratching the surface. You have cards like the American Express Blue Cash Preferred card, earning you 6% back in US supermarkets and select streaming services up to a set cap, or the Bank of America Customized Cash card, earning you 3% back in a select category like online shopping that can get boosted to over 5% if you have enough assets with them. Even just with these few cards, and even more in this detailed video here, you start to realize that cashback today is way more powerful than most people realize, especially when you tailor the setup to your own habits, rewarding you with actual money back in your pocket with no fuss around how to squeeze the maximum value from each of your points headaches. Okay, you might have heard that points are flexible, and yes, you can redeem them on gift cards, Amazon, different airlines and hotels, but do you know what's even more flexible? Cash. Cash in your pocket that you decide when and where to spend. Pay off your monthly bills, decide tomorrow you want to travel and open Google, find a flight and just book it. Or, especially in today's economy, just building a little bit more cushion in your emergency fund. Not only that, but you can use that cash to save and invest in things that actually grow. Stocks, bonds, or treasury bills, earning you 4, maybe 5% back in one of the most stable and safest ways out there. Let's put that into perspective. Personally, I've redeemed for way pay over $30,000 worth of travel over the years, mostly in premium cabins. But if I had chosen to fly in the cheapest ways possible to save money and instead earn, say, $3,000 in cash back and invested it earning 5% per year, over 7 years, that would be worth over $4,200. Real tangible value that grows over time. Meanwhile, the value of points typically goes in just one direction: down. It's not a matter of if your points will lose value, it's when. Almost every major program has devalued over the years, whether it's requiring more points to book the same flights, rising fees, changing program rules, or just generally less availability overall. The same goes for hotels, with programs like Marriott, especially in the SPG days, giving way more value. That's why seasoned experts say earn and burn. Earn lots and redeem for travel that you want to go on, so you're not sitting on a mountain of value that's ripe for devaluation. Whereas cash, on the other hand, is simple, stays as cash, and gives you maximum flexibility to boost up different parts of your life, or multiply that money with investing, something everyone should be doing. Now, maybe you've heard people say, but travel cards earn so much more than cashback cards. Technically, that is true. It's possible, and I've done it. But even I'll say that's only if, and that's a big if, you're using them nearly perfectly. That means knowing the right programs to transfer to, the right airlines to book on, including which aircraft, finding award space, transferring points at the right time, and then booking them before they get snatched up. And while those popular award tools help, they don't cover every route or partner redemption. You're still flying blind a lot of the time. Even then, the best availability is often a few weeks out, or far like 8 to 12 months in advance. Which brings us back to the point about flexibility. Most people can't plan that far ahead, or leave in the next few weeks. But here, points availability is what dictates your schedule, not the other way around. Then there's the elephant in the room, value through cents per point, which sounds good, but let's unpack some problems. First, the way it's calculated. A lot of people will take the one-way price, then divide the points to get the cents per point value, which really inflates the value because many airlines will charge more than half the round-trip flight for those one-way flights. For example, flying ANA business class may cost $25.66 one-way, while a round trip is less than double at $3,777. Now, for that route, Aeroplan charges 55,000 points each way. If you use the one-way price, you're getting a value of 4.48 cents per point. But if you take the round-trip cost and split it in half, a more realistic comparison, that drops to 3.25 cents per point. Second, not everyone would have been willing to pay $3,777 to fly business, when round trip in economy would just be $930. How much would you actually be willing to fly in business? If the answer is just double the economy price, then the calculation based on that will only net you 1.51 cents per point, on par with redeeming these points through the Chase travel portal if you have the Sapphire Reserve, and much closer to the typical cashback values. Which raises the question then, is that half cents more per point worth all of the effort? Third is, well, these higher value redemptions really only exist when flying in business or first class. If you don't care about how you get to your destination, like don't mind flying in economy, well then the value you would get redeeming with points would be much lower. You'd be lucky getting anywhere near 2 cents per point. And a bonus point which has affected me more is redeeming points for good value really only works for 1 to 2 people most of the time. Only through luck and some advanced strategies have I been able to find 3 to 4 business class seats on the same flight. So while these cents per point values may sound great, in reality, things are more nuanced and can be a value trap. Personally, I've been in this game for years, learning the concepts, mastering the tools, and actually making the redemptions that have averaged around 3 to 4 cents per point. And for someone like me who enjoys the process, the hunt for the best deals, and premium travel experiences, it's been worth it. But let's be real, it's taken countless hours of learning, reading, and watching a lot of videos. And I've still only scratched the surface in this entire space. Now imagine starting from zero. You're consuming hundreds of hours of content, exploring all the different tools, and crafting a travel plan around specific availability, only then to spend even more time searching and making sure you're alerted for those dream redemptions just to save several $100s. Especially if it's going to be a one-time thing, it may not be worth it for most people. The same energy could have been spent doing literally anything else. Improving at your job, leveling up your income, building a side hustle, or hey, even vibe coding your first app. Time is money, and while squeezing the maximum value from your points can be rewarding, cashback just works. It's simple. You earn, you spend, and you move on. Now, you can't talk about points and travel without talking about the top tier cards that help you do it, because they don't come cheap. Some popular ones have annual fees as high as $395, $550, and $695. Yes, they offer perks, lounge access, travel credits, other credits, hotel status, and more, but the real question is, do you actually use them? If you're a frequent traveler or someone deep into the game like I am, sure, the value could be there, but for the average person, these perks can often go unused or underutilized. Take the Capital One Venture X advertising a $300 annual travel credit, but you can only use it through their own travel portal. One more site to check and one more step to remember. Or the Amex Platinum card, claiming over $1,500 worth of value, though it's essentially a coupon book of credits where you have to track and remember to use every single year. And if you're going out of your way to use them, then that kind of defeats the purpose. Even lounge access, a major perk, has become frustrating over the last few years. Longer lines, more restrictions, and many lounges packed to capacity. So unless you're truly getting more value than the annual fee, and you're willing to keep up with the coupon book worth of credits, cashback might not just be easier, it may even be better. So now let's put things into perspective with a quick side-by-side. Let's say you have the Wells Fargo Active Cash earning you 2% back on everything, the Capital One Saver with 3% back in, say, dining and groceries, and the US Bank Altitude Connect card with 4% back in travel. No annual fees, no fine print, just a clean and consistent 2 to 4% back in pretty much the bulk of most people's spend. Versus a popular setup like the Chase Trifecta, earning you 1.5 times on everything, 2 times on travel, 3 times on dining, and 5 times back in rotating categories, up to a limit. So anywhere from 1.5 to kind of 5 times back on every dollar spent. If you're willing to learn and put in the effort, redeeming for business class flights, you might be able to squeeze around 3 cents per point. That's 4.5 to 15% back in value, which is pretty solid. But if you wouldn't pay those cash prices for business anyways, rather fly economy or just use the Chase travel portal, you may get anywhere between 1.25 to 2 cents per point in the best case scenario. Let's take 2 for simplicity. Now we're talking somewhere between 3 to 10% back in value, or more realistically, 3 to 6% back in value because the 5 times points is kind of limited and changes quite often. So the real question is the extra 1 to 2% in value worth the extra effort and the $95 in annual fee for the stuff I prefer? Or would you rather keep it simple, get 2 to 4% back in cold hard cash, with no annual fees, no travel portals, and no hoops to jump through? Unless you genuinely enjoy the points game, cashback may be the smarter move. That said, I don't want to downplay the value of points and travel, because that's where I've gotten the bulk of my value. But that takes effort, and the market is changing. As more people learn the game, which is a good thing, that's more competition and overall less availability. Combine that with a tighter economy and companies pushing for more profits, it's only making it harder to get that outsized value, making cashback more and more attractive. But honestly, you don't have to choose one or the other. A hybrid setup is just as strong, especially if you're starting out with the right cards that offer the flexibility to go in either direction. So check out this video for exactly how to build that strong foundation, and I'll see you over there.